Hello dear students, we are going to discuss the paper Writing for the Media prescribed for the 6th semester BA English students of Kannur University. So what is Internet and what is World Wide Web? So most of us use the words web and Internet to mean the same thing, but they are actually quite different. The World Wide Web, or web for short, are pages you see when you are at a device and you are online. But the Internet is the network of connected computers that the web works on, as well as what emails and files travel across. So think of Internet as the roads that connect towns and cities together. The World Wide Web contains the things you see on the roads like houses and shops, and the vehicles are the data moving around. Some go between websites and some others will be transferring your mails or files across the Internet separately from the web. So according to Young, the Internet may be defined as a network of networks that connects computers all over the world. It is a super network that contains all sorts of information and is called the information highway. This network comprises millions of computers found in networks of governments, business organizations, ISPs, and others. Young also points out that these networks consist of not only the hardware aspects but the software as well. The hardware is made up of the computer, modem, cable, satellite, etc., while the software allows for exchange of information through protocols. Let us now discuss the characteristics of Internet. It connects communities that are spread across the globe, breaking down physical, political, social, and cultural barriers. Free exchange of thoughts, ideas, and data, a forum for social interactions involving email, chat, messaging, and more. It's an electronic medium and a social space. So, whenever we think about the main features or characteristics of Internet, we know that the main feature is accessibility. So we know that Internet is a global service and it is accessible to all. So today, people located in a remote part of an island or interior of wherever it is can be connected by using Internet. And it is very easy to use, no? The software which is used to access the Internet, the web browsers, it is designed in such a way that it's very simple. Therefore, it can be easily learned and used, and it is easy to develop as well. And nowadays it is low cost as well. You can get the devices at low price, and the flexibility of communication is another important feature. So communication through Internet is flexible enough. It facilitates communication through text, voice, and video, etc. These services can be available at both organizational and individual level. And last but not the least is security. Internet facility has to a certain extent help the security system both at the individual and national level with the components such as CCTV, etc. So it has many benefits for the users. When we trace the beginning of Internet, it will go back to 1960s. The beginnings of the Internet may be found in the experiment conducted by Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA, in the 1960s. So ARPANET was the network that became the basis for the Internet. Based on a concept first published in 1967, ARPANET was developed under the direction of US Advanced Research Project Agency, that is ARPA. In 1969, the idea became a modest reality with the interconnection of 4 university computers. So ARPANET was the network that became the basis for Internet. The web can today be accessed through PCs, laptops, TV and mobile. People turn to the Internet for information, to share views, to learn and to be entertained. It cannot replace any other medium, but at the same time, it is a medium that people rely on for various activities. While the Internet is the communication network or information network, the www is one of the services that make use of the Internet. Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web is like an encyclopedia, a telephone directory, a record collection, a video shop, and speaker's corner, all rolled into one and accessible through any computer. Through its increased usage, the term is sometimes used interchangeably with the Internet, but the two are different entities. So digital media, some forms. The word media applies to many things in the 21st century, from mass media to news media and traditional media to the many emerging forms of digital media. Before the advent of the digital age, the most popular forms of media were what we now call analog or traditional media, were radio, newspapers, magazines, billboards, journals, and the like. Since then, the technological revolution has brought with it many new types of media that now play a major role in disseminating information and entertainment to populations around the world. So, but what is digital media? And what does it encompass? And how did it evolve? And where is it headed? So the digital media has a global reach. It allows instant access and quick reproduction. The bywords of digital media are interactivity, hypertext. Now let us look into what is ebook. Ebook is a digital media. It's part of digital media. Ebook, it is known as electronic book. So electronic books are simply defined by the Oxford Dictionary of English an electronic version of a printed book. In other words, while a conventional book is made up of paper and printed using ink, the ebook was an electronic form of the same, which using neither paper nor ink. So it's a collection of reactive and dynamic pages of multimedia information, said by Philip Parker. So electronic book or ebook is a term coined by Van Dam of Brown University during the 1960s and is very popular today. Ebook is nothing but a book in electronic form, but ebook differs from a book in print as it requires some kind of electronic device to read. One can download thousands of free ebooks from internet. While even though ebooks are now becoming very popular in developing countries, the development of ebooks began in the 1960s. If we look into the history of ebook, this ebook or electronic book was born in 1971 with the first steps of Project Gutenberg, a digital library for books from public domain. It is nearly 40 years old already. From 1994 onwards, the internet quickly spread World Wide Web. It created its own space as a new medium to get information, access documents, broaden our knowledge, and communicate across borders and languages. Booksellers began selling books online. within and outside their home country, offering experts on their websites. And the main features of ebook are mobility, accessed. You can access it indefinitely. You can store as many books you want, and there are many features. There are different advantages and many features. And they are, especially it is cheaper. If you buy books, it will cost a lot money, but ebooks they are cheaper and they are quick to download. They take very little computer space to store, and they are very easy to navigate when looking for particular information. They can be printed if necessary. If one likes the ebook, can buy the as many book you want, and you can there are many options by which you can bookmark. You can, if you want the meaning, you can then itself you will get the meaning of the word. And also they are cheaper to publish, and the royalties are higher, and they are easy to distribute. The international distribution is much easier and more accessible than for the printed books, and you can access it 24 hours. You can access it 24 hours, 7 weeks and 365 days. And you can save pages, and you can, by using keyword, you can search. And ebook, it cannot be damaged or lost or stolen. Multiple access can be provided, but at the same time it has some disadvantages as well. The cost of the hardware or the ebook reader is quite high. The problems with printing and downloading is there, and sometimes you will have some problem in your eye if you keep on reading ebook. Then if you don't know if you lack the awareness regarding the software and hardware, it will be a trouble for you. And there is a chance that it can be hacked or copied or distributed without the author's or publisher's permission. And main worry of reading from an ebook reader is, I told you, it can hurt your eyes. And there are different types of ebooks. There are downloadable ebooks, and there are dedicated ebook. There are print on demand ebooks and web accessible ebooks, and there are lots. So in a way you can say it's a mobile or physical device to display electronic or digital document. It's a definition by Lemken. Thus it can be termed as any device that allows a user to read text or documents in much the same way as one would read through a paper book. Electronic books is a term that is used to describe or define the process of reviewing literature or books online, the content itself, and all tools that are necessary to do so. Feldman expanded the concept of e-books to include hardware devices such as PDAs, PCs, laptops, mobile phones, etc., which allows access to the printed word, whether in the form of databases or structured electronic books. The first electronic book was the Sony Bookman, which was introduced in the market in 1991. Rocket ebook of Jumpstart, Nuvomedia, and the Peanut reader of Peanut Press were some of the other ebooks brought out in the late 90s. The most popular e-readers are Amazon Kindle, Sony Reader, B-Book, etc. E-magazines, electronic magazines. They are also called e-zines or web-signs, or cyber-sign or hyper-sign. So these are the other terms by which e-magazine is also known by. So electronic magazines are the electronic versions of print magazine or magazines that have an online presence. We know that in the same way how the newspaper organization that they discovered the importance of web presence, similarly the magazines they also realized the advantage of making their names known on the web. That's how it emerges. E-magazines may be the e-version of a printed magazine. For example, National Geographic and Newsweek, they have got their own e-magazine. So which has been placed on the web. So you can see e-magazines on the web, which may be even in the PDF format, or it can be in the site itself, or it could be an online only magazine. For example, Slate and Salon.com. These are online only magazine. So which has been designed specifically for web consumption. So e-magazines are the e-version of the printed magazine which are placed on the web and which has been designed specifically for web consumption are known as e-magazines. So these may be accessed free of cost or you may have to pay a subscription fee. So the main characteristics of e-magazines or e-zines are normally they are shorter than the traditional magazine because it is not as easy to read on screen. That is why they are shorter in length. Then the type and the font size that is usually used while preparing e-magazines will be those that allow easy reading. Otherwise people find it very difficult to read. So, and it features a variety of articles including interviews, profiles, human interest stories, features, recipes, travelogues, etc. Okay, so they will be including the things which will be interesting to the audience. And it has color, graphics, video, audio files that will improve the online reading experience more fantastic. So these are the main characteristics of magazines. Then writing for e-zines, writing for e-magazine. So when you write e-magazine, what are things that we have to be taken care of? So the style of writing is different from that in a traditional magazine because e-zines or e-magazines have shorter articles. So it should contain attractive headline. Otherwise people will omit your article. So it should definitely contain an attractive headline and that should be precise. It can be in the form of question or it can be in the form of quotation or to attract the attention of the readers. The beginning or the lead and even the first sentence following the subhead have to be well written in an attractive manner. Yeah, you can choose attractive fonts and the size should be kept in that way. And similar or related points are chunked together. Logical flow should be there, otherwise the reader will feel it's very bored. So logical flow of thought helps reader move through the paragraph easily. So they will get some logical connection between each paragraph. Then what is the use of these subheads? So subheads, they are very important. It helps the reader to scan through the article very easily. And it gives them an idea of what the paragraph is all about. So subheads are very important. E-newspaper. An e-newspaper, online newspaper or you can say web newspaper has an online presence or it exists on the internet. It exists either as an online only newspaper or it could be a digital version of a printed paper. They contain a digitalized blend of text, photos, graphics, audio and video. Some newspapers host e-replicas of their printed copies on the web or host websites that feature news stories that are covered in print. Most of the national as well as regional newspapers have an online presence. Examples of traditional newspapers with online presence are newspapers like Hindu. It has its online presence in its website, thehinduonline.com. Similarly, the Indian Express, the New Indian Express, the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, etc. provide news through their website. Then the online only papers who do not have printed copies and are available only as soft copies are the Santiago Times, which operates out of Santiago. Then Chile is a pure e-newspaper. South Park Reporter from UK, that is also an e-only or online-only newspaper. Then Seattle Post Intelligentsia, which became an online-only newspaper in 2009 after publishing in hard print for 149 years. Then Caledonian, Mercury, etc. These are online-only papers. Then there are some newspapers, however, which are principally online newspapers but publish a few printed copies. For example, annaarbor.com, which brings out hard copies twice weekly. Online versions provide the reader with options of emailing specific articles to others or printing. Then moving on to e-journal. E-journals or electronic journals are journals of any nature that are broadcast or accessed by an electronic media. The term normally refers to journals that are published on the internet or the web, and they can be downloaded. But as these are normally scholarly publications, they might not be available from the sellers of ebooks. Nomenclature of e-journals. E-journals are known today by different names such as online journals, electronic serials, electronic periodicals, virtual journals, and digital serials. So the e-journals can be accessed in three ways: remote access from the library server, and you can access through databases. So you can see the picture, e-journal database, how you can access it. Then certain databases offer e-journals as one of the e-resources to the library, and they can be open access or subscribed. The open access databases provide access to e-journals free of cost. Few examples of databases are DOAJ, Juster, etc. If you went to university library, you can access many e-journals. Some are subscribed versions. Normally, e-journals are meant for academic learning and research. The format of e-journal closely follows that of the traditional journals. E-journals are normally accessed on the basis of subscriptions, annual or otherwise, and or access may also be granted on pay-per-view basis. Okay, either you can pay subscription on annual basis or you can pay on view basis. Free or open access e-journals are also available on the website. Some journals are free, you can freely access it. Some others are paid. And these require no subscription and grant free and full access to the articles or features. So some e-journals are, you can access it without paying, without any subscription charge, and some others are paid one. Some e-journals offer limited access to its pages. Such journals allow the user to browse through and view a few pages. Access to the article in its entirety will be limited and will be allowed only after the user has paid the access or the subscription fee. Some of the e-journals are the electronic counterparts of the printed journal. So they are available electronically even though their basic publication format is print. On the other hand, there are pure e-journals that are devoid of the printed edition. So some e-journals are there With e-version of the print edition, with additions such as video or audio files. So we have e-journals without a printed edition, and we have e-journals whose basic publication format is printed one. And in some e-journals you can see some additional features like audio and video files. So when we think about the advantages of e-journal, we can say that you have simultaneous access, and you can hyperlink is used in e-journals, so you can links are there, you can go to the related terms, items, then you can easily download it either in the PDF format or HTML format, and the wider dissemination of knowledge is happening through e-journals, and it actually eliminates the barrier of time or space. It eliminates this all physical processing, and it saves the shelf space, or you can access anytime from anywhere. And once it is published online, it will be available quicker than any printed publication. But it has some disadvantages as well, because the technical barrier is one of the main disadvantage of e-journal. Because of some hardware or software issues, network issue, if there are such issues, you will not be able to access such e-journals. And if there are infrastructure snags, bandwidth issues or shedding issues, etc., then also the problem will be there. And in order to access e-journals, some required skills are needed. Now the people who are using it, they should be trained. Some training and required skills are needed. And cost to acquire e-resources can be high. User unfriendliness depends on some certain platforms, so that can be there. But why are we using e-journals is because we will be getting updated informations, and it is very convenient for us because information will be at our fingertips, and value-added features are also available. Search facilities are there. You can access different links, graphics, audio, dictionary, everything is available. And if you want, you can export, you can send your email, or you can print, or you can save it. So there are other features which will make it user friendly. So this is all about e-journal. Then we can move on to another topic, that is writing for web. So the guidelines, planning, structure and style. Writing for the web is very different from writing for any of the traditional media. However, the news value in web writing is the same as those for radio or TV. Timeliness and immediacy are watchwords in web news writing. This is because the web allows for quicker publications, as the news just needs to be added. As it is logged and dated, the time of publication is evident, and it creates a keener sense of emergency or immediacy. Web supports non-linear and linear forms of writing. So writing of web it is entirely different from writing for any of the traditional media. So the guidelines, what are the guidelines to write for web? So you must ask yourself these critical questions. Before writing for web, you have to ask yourself some keen critical questions. So they are: what topic will the reader want to read about? And what kind or style of writing would be preferred by the readers? So you have to write accordingly. Then what aspect should the story focus on? So before writing for the web, you have to ask these critical questions. So what topic will be the reader will be preferring more? So what aspect should the story should focus on, and what kind of style the reader will be preferring? So you have to include the crux of the story, the main content of the story, in the first or second paragraph itself. Otherwise, okay, there's a chance that reader will miss the important points. So you have to write from the point of view of the web user. The copy must be short. The size should be such that the user need not scroll down to see the entire article often. So you have to be taken care of the size of the article. And for longer pieces, or even for articles between 500 to 600 words, you can use subheads and intersperse it with photos, graphics and other dynamic contents. Because otherwise people will be feeling very bored. So in order to attract the attention of in order to keep their attention, you can make use of these techniques, like you can make use of the subheads, and you can, in between you can use photos, graphics, such other dynamic contents. Then you can make use of hyperlinks, which will allow the user to navigate away from the page. So this gives a sense of momentum and change. So people like this. Okay, rather than being constant in one page, they like to move around. So you can make use of this technique when you write for the web. Then a normal web article could average anywhere around 500 or 600 words or rarely over 1000. The headlines and the subheads should be meaningful and clear. The user's eye normally falls on the heads, subheads, hyperlinks, etc. while skimming through the rest. So you have to give much importance to the headlines, the subheadlines and the hyperlinks that you use. And you can highlight the important points, you can underline, you can make use of italics or you can make it bold, okay, in order to increase the readability aspects. Then you can use the method of chunking, where all references to an idea or point or references made by a person are chunked or placed together in a single para. Then the reader does not have to go back and forth between pages to clarify information. So you can resort to the blocking technique, whereby all mentions or quotes of the person are put into a single block. Okay, it will be very helpful for the reader. So you can make use of this chunking, method of chunking. Okay, so where you will be keeping all the references there itself. Okay, so all the references to an idea or point are kept by the person. It is chunked together in that single para itself, so that the reader need not go back, okay, not to clarify that information. So you can also make use of this blocking technique, whereby you can mention all the quotes and other information of the person. You can put all information in a single block. Use a bulleted list if there is a scope for itemization or if many related facts are mentioned. So if you want to write many related facts, you can separate them by using bullets or numbers. Then balance copy with hypertext, graphics and multimedia content. You can use short sentences, otherwise it will be really boring for the readers. And when you write, avoid jargon or made up terms. You can use everyday language, because we know that jargons are those words which are used by people who belong to a particular profession. So there are medical jargons, legal jargons. So medical jargons are the words which are used by the people who belong to that medical profession. So it will be unknown to the people who are not part of that profession. So when you use such jargon, it will be quite difficult for others to understand it. So avoid jargons. You can use everyday language. Simple languages being preferred. Sentences should be structured in the subject, verb, object order. SVO pattern is more suitable. So who is doing what? So that is the order. So your sentence should be structured in such a way that there should be subject, it will be should be followed by verb and object. And use active voice instead of passive voice. Okay, so you have to use active voice and verbs. Question and answer format can also be used to communicate facts. You can mention person's surname or family name even when you navigate away from the main page. You can invite user participation in the form of blogs, comments, or messages. When you write, include name and contact information at the end or beginning of the story. So if the reader want to contact you, you have to give your name and your email address or your contact information. Then moving on to the style of writing. The style is determined by the purpose, whether it should be informative or entertaining. So based on that, you have to change the style of your writing. The inverted pyramid structure is the best for the web. In case of corporate communication or communication of information, use a matter of fact style. Personal storytelling is another. So the best way is you can follow the method of this inverted pyramid style. So what are the advantages of using this inverted pyramid style? See here you can see in inverted pyramid style, first you will be talking about the most important information. Who, when, where, why, what, how. So all these will come under the first para. Then in the second para, the most important details will be given. Then in the last paragraphs, other general info or background information can be given. So when the reader, when they scroll through when they skim through your article, they will get the correct important information by reading the first two paragraphs itself. So it is very suitable for web writing as it allows scanning of the important points. Even if the web user does not go through the middle or the last portions of the story, he or she gets a fair idea about the event or issue by reading the first few paragraphs itself. Then capsule format minimizes users' inconvenience. Okay, we know that modern readers, they don't like to read the long paragraphs or long articles. So they will definitely like to read capsule format articles. So it will help to capture the attention of the reader. So always you have to prefer pyramid structure, the inverted pyramid structure for writing web. Then moving on to headlines, blurbs and lead. So these form the micro content of an article. It plays a very important role in making the article attractive and in grabbing the attention of the readers. A single web page exhibits numerous related and unrelated stories. So the headline and the blurb offer information about the article and the reader can decide if the story is of interest to him. So by reading through the headline or by reading the blurb, the reader can understand whether this article will be of interest whether it will be an interest to him. So by reading that, he can read the. What is the importance of headline? Headline must offer a concise and snappy overview of the story. It should focus on the main point of the story. It must tell the story and sell the news. So it should be catchy. You can make use of short phrases. You can write it in bold. Okay, so you can make use of figurative language. It can be in the form of question, quotations. So you have to make it attractive. Headlines for a web story must be brief. It must be a single sentence long and the best headline include less than 6 to 10 words. Put important information or keywords at the beginning and avoid the use of articles, a and the, and you can use active or strong. Then what do you mean by blurbs? Blurbs are pieces or comments that clarify the headline and give information on the story that accompanies it. They are normally found below the headline and simplify it. A blurb can also be a teaser or a lead-in to a news story. It determines whether the user is going to click on the link page and read the story in detail. Even you can see blurb at the back side of the book. Okay, if you went to library and if you want to take a book to read, probably you will be going through some pages. Sometimes some people will read the blurb, so that you will get some insight about the book. Similarly, blurbs that you can see in web page as well. So blurbs are pieces or comments that clarify the headline and give information on the story that accompanies it. So they are normally found below the headline. It will be in a simplified form. So by reading the blurb, the reader will determine whether they have to read the entire story, whether they want to read the story or not. So it is a short and it consists of up to 40 words. So the ideal length of a blurb is less than 20 words. So what is important is clarity must be there. So it must touch upon the remarkable feature of the story. So then only by reading the blurb, the reader will decide whether they have to read the entire story or not. So your blurb is very important. It should be very remarkable. Then it should be adequately summarize the story without giving away too many details. Okay, how to summarize it, but don't give too many details. You can use simple language and simple style. Lead is an important part of the web article. The lead or the opening paragraph is the most important part of a news story. With so many sources of information, newspapers, magazines, TV, radio and the internet, audiences simply are not willing to read beyond the first paragraph and even a sentence of a story unless it grabs their attention or interest. A good lead does just that. It gives readers the most important information in a clear, concise and interesting manner. It also establishes the voice and the direction of an article. So there are some tips for you to write a good lead. So the first thing is the 5 W's and 1 H. So your article must include, your lead must include the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why, and 1 H, that is how. So before writing a lead, decide which aspect of the story, who, what, when, or where, and why, and how is important. And then you should emphasize those aspects in your lead. Then you have to wait to explain less important aspects until the second or third sentence. Then another important aspect is conflict. So good stories have conflict, so do many good leads. Then specificity. Though you are essentially summarizing information in most leads, try to be specific as possible. If your lead is too broad, it won't be informative or interesting. Then brevity is another important aspect. So readers want to know why the story matters to them and they won't wait for long for the answer. Leads are often one sentence, sometimes it can be two. Generally, they are 25 to 30 words and should rarely become more than 40. This is somewhat arbitrary, but it's very important, especially for young journalists to learn how to deliver information concisely. Then active sentence. Strong verbs will make your lead very lively and interesting. Passive constructions, on the other hand, can sound dull and leave out important information, such as the other person or thing that caused the action. Incomplete reporting is often a source of passive leads. So you have to write in by using active sentence. Then audience and context is another important aspect. Take into account what your reader already knows. Then remember that in today's media culture, most readers become aware of breaking news as it happens. If you are writing for a print publication the next day, your lead should do more than merely regurgitate yesterday's news. Another important aspect is honesty. A lead is an implicit promise to your reader. You must be able to deliver what you promise in your lead. So be honest in your writing. So that is about lead.